It's also so nice that it is 6 o'clock in Nashville and it is not that dark out yet. It was so nice driving here and realizing, you know what? The sun is not fully down yet. It's getting warmer. Basketball's heating up. It is just a good time to be alive, Elijah.
It is, and just think, in 37 or 38 days, I forgot what the count is, but it's in that range that daylight savings time comes back again, and it won't be 4 o'clock whenever it gets dark.
Oop, I muted myself there. Yeah.
Full
no,
Joe Rex Road.
Full Joe right there moment. No, it's amazing because then I'm not napping at 4 o'clock and then waking up, eating dinner, and then going back to bed. Or waking up, eating dinner, watching basketball, and then going back to bed.
See, the watching basketball part, that's the most important thing here. And, of course, I think the first thing we're going to obviously touch on is Auburn, another number one going down, this time to Arkansas. And I don't know if I've seen a better, what's the word, atmosphere in college basketball this year than what Arkansas had for Auburn when they came to town.
First off, absolutely an insane environment in Arkansas. And if you have not watched this game, all you need to see is the last play of the game. There's probably 4 seconds on the clock. They throw it full court. One of the Arkansas players is basically waiting at the other end of the basket, just goes up, dunks the ball. As soon as he does that, the buzzer goes off. Then everybody storms the court.
Fireworks
go off.
The basket.
It is the most aesthetically pleasing thing. The only thing that would have made this better is if it was the national championship or something.
Oh, my God.
But
yeah.
I remember just watching that, and my jaw dropped because the timing of everything was absolutely perfect.
Perfect.
And it was just so pleasing. And of course you love to see the underdog team win. Auburn hasn't even lost a game in the SEC yet. This is their first loss in the SEC, second loss of the season. And it went into overtime. So just very exciting for that Arkansas team. And their coach is in a sling and he just rips his shirt off and it's just in the middle of
Eric Musselman's a wild man. That is a wild, wild man. No one gets hype like Eric Musselman gets hype.
Yeah, I think in the post game too, there was one, not the normal post game about the game, but there was another interview and he's just in the middle of the crowd with his shirt off. I'm like, you know what? You earned it. You earned it after that performance. But I will say, we have talked about Auburn since the beginning, and I actually had Auburn as my top, I think they were in my top 10 when we did our AP polls, and we even talked about this off the air a little bit. We haven't seen what we've been looking for from Auburn yet this year, and we said, they're going to be a top team in the SEC. They're going to be a team that could make a run in the tournament because they had so many transfers and older guys on the team with a lot of experience, but we just hadn't seen it click like we've been waiting for. And then, the other night, they could have beat any team in college basketball the way they played.
They could. And you mentioned the transfers, too. Stanley and Moody especially is a player who didn't play major college basketball. He's now into the Power 5. He's playing in the Summit League last year, and the guy is now in the SEC. That's a big jump. A lot of their key contributors are guys that they got from other schools. Chris Likes is another player who played in the ACC, but it's a lot different coming to the SEC. Audis Tony playing at Pittsburgh, obviously playing in more competitive basketball now than he ever did. When you bring all these transfers in, it takes a little while, right? I said the same thing about Texas. How you felt about Arkansas, I felt about Texas, because Texas had all these all-star transfers, and in a way they're kind of in the same boat. Texas is playing their best ball at the right time. Arkansas is playing their best ball at the right time, and it took a little while. It's been a journey, Michelle, for this Arkansas team. Some of the losses are pretty brutal. Oklahoma, who is a bubble team, beat them by 22 in December. Hofstra beat them by 8. I can't do math. Hofstra beat them by 8 early in the year. Hofstra is not a tournament team by any stretch of the imagination. That is not a very good basketball team. And then they turn around and start off the SEC play losing their first 3. Mississippi State's a solid team, but Mississippi State beat them really good. They lost to Vanderbilt at home. Even though Vanderbilt's playing better, it's still a bad loss. And then I'm not high on Texas A&M at all, but Texas A&M took care of Arkansas, and Arkansas went 0-3 in SEC play. And since then, done nothing but win. They've won 9 straight since then. And some of those wins are against, like you said, number 1 Auburn. They have a big win against LSU. They took care of business against West Virginia in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. And, they avenged that loss to Mississippi State and did it on the road. So this is a team where it's starting to click right now, and everything we thought Arkansas would be at the beginning of the year is starting to show a little bit here in February when it really, really matters.
Well, and that is the key point right there, is what you said. We can talk all about the beginning of the year. They lost to Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, but then they beat Mississippi State, and then they've been on a roll since those losses, and this is when it matters. I mean, well, actually, March is when it matters, but you want to be playing
your best going into
your best going into March once you get seeded, because seeding is so important once we hit the tournament. We were just talking about it. It can be, it's just your matchups. If you are a higher seed, then you get to play a lower seed. It's easy math. Everybody can figure that out. Then again, it is March Madness, so it doesn't matter. A 16 seed could beat you.
It's happened once.
The principle of it is it should be an easier ride for you. But I think this Arkansas team, I really like the way they're playing. And, hey, they could win the SEC. We talked about this last week. There are so many teams in the SEC. Auburn has dominated, but they almost lost to Missouri the other day.
They played a lot of close games.
They almost lost to Georgia the other day. They just lost to Arkansas. Those were their last 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky might have beat them if they had. So, obviously, this Auburn team, the way they're playing with Kessler, Jabari Smith, they are a number 1 caliber team in the country. But this college basketball, all these teams are elite, and the crown is heavy. I say this every time. Auburn, the crown is heavy. They almost lost it last week, and Arkansas took them down this week.
That's with Auburn, too, is they've played with fire a lot, and that's one thing. They became number 1, and they barely beat Missouri. Missouri is a horrific team, which it's funny. One of my favorite stats in college basketball this year, it came from that game where Auburn shot 30% from the field in that game and still won, which is a testament to how bad